Gene Codes, Session 8, Micro Chakra Psychology. Wow, if you're enjoying these gene codes, this one's going to blow your mind because it is really, really unique. And one of the things that I really enjoy about all of these gene codes is that for the most part, well, I think there's a double-edged, I think there's a kind of a, there's a kind of a duality there. The thing that I enjoy about them is also the thing that that disappoints me very much, and that is the thing that I enjoy about these is that they're very, very unique, very, very particular, they're systems that you hardly hear anything about, and that's the other side of it. It's disappointing because these systems are so wonderful for helping us to understand human nature, and yet we don't have them. You know, these I believe are subjects that really should be taught. And it's interesting that yesterday I created a song yesterday, and there was the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I put a clip in the beginning where he spoke about the fact that when he was younger, he spoke to his father, very young. I think he said he was like 9 years old, and he was asking his father, why do we not learn about money in school? And the father said, well, the government tells us what we can and what we cannot teach in school. And obviously this disappointed the young man because, well, the young kid, 9 years old, fair play to him for being interested in wanting to learn about the economic system at that age. You know, in fact, it's no surprise that he became a best-selling author and a very wealthy man who understands economy. But that made me think about what the father said, and for years how I have been studying all of these different systems for understanding human nature. So, and let's call it psychology, because on the academic level, we're talking about psychology or sociology. And it's the same idea that the government, for some reason, academia, for some reason, more than likely for the monopolization of ideas, the monopolization of academia. I think there was a book. I think there was a book that I saw a while back. It was called Academic Inc. In other words, education, most of us know, is really about money. It's really, so many things just really come down to money and profit, and not wanting to disturb that profit, that income flow. So in the field and in the world of psychology, you have this dry, bland Freud, Jung, and just this really heady kind of way of understanding human behavior, human nature, the way people think, why they think, so-called mental illnesses and things of that nature. And yet all of these years, nearly 20 plus years of my investigation into this world, there are so many wonderful systems that are more accurately attuned to helping us understand why we are the way that we are. And whether it be bioenergetics or the 7 life energies or human design, generation, spiral dynamics, the Enneagram, there are just so many systems that are not part of academia. You are not taught these things. I mean, if you're studying to become a psychologist, wouldn't you really want to know all of the systems that exist that are really effective, that really produce results, that really give us an understanding of the person who we have before us? Because that's what it really should be about. But so much of what we do now in academia, people want to become doctors because, you know, it's a good income. It's a good income flow. You know, there's talk of wanting to abolish the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm to others, right? The Hippocrates, let medicine be your food and food be your medicine. Right? That knocks out competition. So in the world of psychology, we don't want competition, do we? If you're in it for the profit, if you're in it for the benefit of because the psychological systems that we have nowadays, whether it be psychiatry, they keep people locked in to therapy. So you can go to a psychologist for 4 years trying to work out your issues and trying to understand why you are the way that you are. You can go to a psychiatrist for years and remain in analysis and pump yourself full of drugs and never really get a sense of why you're depressed, why you don't feel satisfied with life, why you think the way that you do and behave the way that you do, why people misunderstand you so much. So it is a very unfortunate thing. It's a very beautiful thing that I have all of these different systems on my table and within my heart and within my mind to be able to understand myself and those who I interact with in life, as well as society in general. But it is, on the other side, a very unfortunate thing that these arcane systems are not part of popular culture, are not part of academia, are not on the list of tools that a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a social worker, and many other systems in life, whether you're in human resources, whatever, to allow us to have these tools to be able to better understand ourselves and others. So micro chakra psychology. If you like the chakra system, this is going to blow your mind. If you know anything about the chakra system, this is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind, all 7 of them. You ready for this, right? Micro chakra psychology, number 1, begins with the idea that each one of your chakras, for those who do not know what a chakra is, it is an energy vortex in different parts of your body. And it's very well known in Eastern philosophy and Eastern religions, whether it be India or Tibet or, that area of the world has always been very familiar with the chakra system, that we have these energy centers in our body. And for many years in the kind of like the new agey type movement, there's always, the talk about balance your second chakra and stimulate your fourth chakra and things of that nature. And so long as the word chakra was used, it was more oriented towards feelings and emotions. But what Shambhatnagar is the one who brought us this system of micro chakra psychology. And wait till I tell you how I'm always amazed by these systems because how they come to us. I mean, remember the 7 life energies? I talked about the 7 life energies, and there's still a mystery as to where these systems come from. I don't even know what word, the discover. I can't even find a word, because these are systems, in a lot of cases, the systems that I'm choosing here are systems that were inspired by some kind of paranormal experience, some kind of indescribable peak moment where a person is stimulated, inspired by something, that there's this flood of information, there's this download of information. The 7 life energies is not something that was invented by Gary Null. It was not something that was discovered by Gary Null. It was something that was given to him in a flash of inspiration on a night in which he just found himself meditating all night, trying to understand the problem of human nature. And in a flash was given a vision of these 7 life energies. And the same thing happened with the human design system and Ra-Uru-Hu. And now we have micro chakra psychology with Shambhatnagar. Shambhatnagar, I don't know how old he was, or I don't know when, but when I read in the book how he came across this system, it was through what's known as automatic writing. And automatic writing is labeled or put into the category of channeling. So you can channel your voice, you can channel through drawing images, and there are people who, through automatic writing, channel messages or channel information onto a piece of paper, where their hand is basically automatically going on its own, writing on its own. And Shambhatnagar had one of these experiences where he found himself writing down all kinds of details and information about the chakra system that up until that point had been really unknown to those who were part of the chakra system, those who believed and studied and taught the chakra system, that basically we just have these 7 chakras. Now, as I was saying before, in the kind of New Age philosophy, we were taught to kind of think of these chakra systems as influencing us emotionally and influencing. But what Shyam Bhatnagar got from this system and what he shared in the system is that he said, and science is confirming this for certain things. Let me get right to it. The 7 chakras are really 7 minds. So not only do we have to challenge our beliefs in what science says is that the mind is in the brain. The mind and the brain are one and the same. One comes from the mind evolves out of the brain. But many scientists now are looking into and discovering that the heart has a mind of it. The heart is a mind of its own, that the heart thinks. And what interesting is that this corresponds with microchakra psychology, because Shyam Bhatnagar says that all of your chakras are minds and they have a thinking about them. And science is starting to catch up with the idea that your heart actually thinks separately and probably thinks, if I remember correctly, there's the HeartMath Institute. There was a book that I read on all of the scientific experiments that were done to demonstrate that the heart can actually respond to certain situations faster than the brain, and that we do well to take information in from the heart as well as the brain. But now here we go even further, and it is said that the gut, that there's a brain, and some in science say that the gut is a second brain. So let's extend it out further. So because now we're 3 out of 7, science is coming up on 3 out of 7. So Shyam Bhatnagar is well ahead of the game, because decades ago he came across this system. This system was given to him. And so let's take it the step further where science should be going towards, that all 7 of our chakras are minds that think. And what's amazing about this is that it can really help you to understand when you find yourself in conflict within yourself, because the heart may be thinking one thing, the gut may be thinking another thing, and your mind may be thinking your head mind, your intuitive mind. Your 6th chakra could be thinking another thing. And so you have to harmonize and understand, okay, in the moment that I find myself in, which one of these minds is really giving me the best indication as to what I should be thinking about this situation. So you have the 1st chakra, the base chakra, and it is oriented towards survival, eating, shelter, protection, feeling safe. And so this mind is always working towards that end. And we do well to consider those thoughts, and to consider that those thoughts don't come from our brain, but may be messages that are sent to the brain, so that then we can translate them into what we see, how we perceive our environment, and what we say and what we believe. Are we safe? Do we feel safe? Do we have enough food? And so this is something. This is something to consider, that there are 7 minds that are essentially looking out for your best interest. And so we do well to think carefully. And see, I have to be careful with words now, because now I have to think about the word think. and what's thinking? Is it your brain thinking, or is it one of these 7 chakras thinking? So the base chakra, the 1st chakra, is really, and so some people may say, okay, well, I knew this. Well, because these are things that are talked about in the chakra system. And for those who understand chakra psychology and chakra philosophy. But here we have another aspect that says, okay, so you know about the 1st chakra, what it does, but do you know that it is a mind? Your 1st chakra does not only push you towards a certain behavior, but it thinks. It does so through a thinking. It is a mind, and that mind is communicating something to you and to the world around you. So the 2nd chakra is involved with relationships and sexuality, and it's a thinking. This is the mind that thinks, and and determines whether relationships that you are having with people are healthy or not. And when you don't listen to these particular minds, you ever been in a bad relationship and you get that kind of gut feeling that you are with the wrong partner? Well, that's your mind thinking. That is your second mind that is dedicated to the world of relationships and interactions with other people. The third chakra, again, another mind that would be oriented towards your career, towards power, how you use your power, how you gain your power. And it is, again, a kind of gut feeling, but it's more towards the adrenaline point. It's more about adrenaline. And a lot of these chakras are connected to adrenal glands, to different type of glands. And so not only does a chakra think, but it produces hormones to help you to understand feelings and how to motivate you and how to help you to understand if you're doing something wrong or right. And nurturing these minds, and I'll get to that in a moment, because this really goes really deep into an understanding of chakras that I can assure you, if you are not familiar with microchakra psychology, everything that you have ever thought about chakras is going to go to a completely different level. So then we have the heart chakra, the fourth chakra, which obviously has to do with love, with interaction with other people, and with an energy that you put out into the world. What's interesting, because in the microchakra psychology book, you go into also the senses. Each one of these chakras is also connected to one of your senses, whether it's hearing, whether it's sight. It's amazing. It is an absolutely amazing system that would require so the microchakra psychology book by Shyam Bhatnagar should be a textbook. This is something that you could find yourself studying for a year, 2 years. You could major in this, because this is really in-depth information about the many different aspects that have to do with our energetic system. And obviously it takes time for science to catch up with this, because this goes into the esoteric. And unfortunately, science has gotten away from the idea that the esoteric is a starting point. Before we can have a scientific experiment, we need to have a scientific hypothesis. And a hypothesis means that you are entering in the world of the unknown, entering into the world of the mysterious, the esoteric, so that you can then formulate some kind of hypothesis that you can then go and test. So the idea that science doesn't need philosophy or science doesn't need esotericism is nonsense, because no science was born perfect. No science was born exact. Science is born out of people hypothesizing, coming up with theories, testing the mysterious, rendering it no longer mysterious but explainable. But we always have to start with the mysterious. So then of course we have the throat chakra, and the throat chakra is all about communication and expression. And then we have the sixth chakra, which is the so-called third eye, which in human design is really the third ear. It is that inner voice. So different philosophies are obviously going to bring different things to the table, but that pituitary gland, that pineal gland, that where your intuition comes from, where your visions come from, and that is a mind. These are all minds that are thinking thoughts. They are thinking thoughts, and they are interacting with the life that is in you and the life that is around you. And then, of course, you have the crown chakra, and that's where you get your inspiration from. So these are 7 minds. In microchakra psychology, we are dealing with 7 minds. Now, let's go deeper. Why micro? Why microchakra psychology? Here we go. In what was revealed to Shyam Bhatnagar, it was revealed to him that within each chakra, within each of the 7 chakras, there are micro chakras. There is an alignment. My goodness, I get all worked up and emotional when I think about how deep it is, because I'm certainly not going to have the time within this session to go into any depth about the micro chakras. But the micro chakras, there are miniature chakras within each chakra. So let's take the heart chakra, for example. You have your heart chakra, and it deals with love, and it deals with this area of your life. Within that chakra, there are 7 micro chakras, each corresponding to the major chakras. So in other words, within your heart chakra, there's a base chakra, a micro base chakra that deals with survival and food and the love for food, the love for survival, surviving through love, these different types of interpretations. And then you have a second chakra, a second micro chakra within your fourth chakra, and a third micro chakra, and a fourth. So you have all 7 of the major chakras. Within each one, there are 7 micro chakras which correspond and create a different aspect of your thinking with regards to that particular issue. Now, let's go further. There are not just 7 micro chakras, but there are 21 micro chakras in each of your chakras. So in your heart chakra, you have 7 micro chakras that are aligned in the center. You have another 7 micro chakras off to the left and another 7 micro chakras off to the right. So now you have 21 micro chakras within this one chakra, and each one has a particular aspect of psychology, of your way of thinking and behaving. And then in Shambhatnagar's therapy, because now first you have this micro chakra psychology to help you understand the thinking and the behavior. And then you have the application of therapy. So in micro chakra psychology, Shambhatnagar works with sound, different sounds. So in the Indian culture, in the Buddhist culture, you have a lot of mantras, you have a lot of tones and tonalities. These help to balance out and unclog, so to speak, unclog chakras to help move energy. And within each of these aspects of this chakra, there is the main chakra, there is 21 micro chakras, and then the main chakras and the micro chakras all can either be blocked or unblocked, can be flowing smoothly or can be hindered. And that changes you, it changes your way of feeling, it changes your way of behaving, changes your way of thinking. Can you understand the power that so much rich information could give to someone who is, let's say, a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a social worker or a teacher or a counselor? To have all of this rich information to understand that within a person there may be these blockages of energy flow which causes disturbances. And so we are really getting into a rich... Now, so one more detail before I close this out. One more interesting detail before I close this out. And to think that this... And there's more. There really is plenty more. There's so much that I would love to get into. But, the time is limited and I can only squeeze but so much. I want to give you the overview so that if anyone is really interested, then we can go deeper into other aspects, because there's an entire cosmology. There's an entire cosmology within the microchakra psychology book, right, that deals with sound and how the universe and cosmology, a cosmological look at the way that the universe is formed through sound, color, and light. It's really amazing, really amazing. But one of the things that really interested me, and I tested this and I played with this for a little while, each chakra, each mind, has a time of the day where it is dominant, where it is more dominant than the other minds. Now imagine if you could map that out. Imagine if you could know that a certain time in the afternoon would be more beneficial for you to be dedicating your attention to the thoughts of success, to the thoughts of your career, and maybe other times of the day be more oriented towards your sexuality or survival. So what Shambhatnagar was given was also a system to help us to understand that from sunrise to sunset, each of the different chakras, each of the 7 chakras is given a space of time where it is more dominant. So something about the sun and something about the rotation of the earth affects our affects our chakras so that a particular chakra. Now, at sunrise, just to kind of simplify this, the mathematics of it is that at sunrise, your second chakra is activated. Your second chakra, okay, that second chakra activated, that's the wrong. Your second chakra is more dominant. At sunset, your second chakra is once again more dominant. So from sunrise to sunset, you can calculate and you can divide it up amongst 7. You can divide that time. If you take the time from sunrise to sunset, you divide that by 7, and you have the time periods within your day that a particular chakra is dominant. And the same thing happens twice. The same thing happens twice within the arc of a day. So from sunrise to sunset, you go through a dominance of the 7 chakras. From sunset until sunrise, again, you have another period in which each of the chakras is given more dominance, has more energy, and I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know what the sun and Earth's rotation has to do with it, but it's amazing. It's a fascinating thing. I played with it for about 2 months. I sat down and I would get the sunrise and I would get the sunset and I would calculate the minutes between, and so I would divide out through the day, and I would sit and I would meditate when I had the opportunity, because obviously I'm not going to spend my whole entire day sitting here reflecting and trying to get a sense of what each chakra is thinking, or how to incorporate the right moment to deal with relationships or problems with the relationships. Because in my experiment, I wanted to do that. I wanted to say, okay, let's say I'm having problems in relationships. Let's say I'm having problems with career, with money. Let me take those problems, write them down, and let me reflect on those problems on the right time of the day, the so-called right time of the day, according to Sean Bhatnagar's system. And I played with it for about 2 months, and it is really a wonderful experience. It really is a wonderful experience. You know, whether it's placebo and I'm making it all up or not, it still is a wonderful experience. But I like to work with the idea that if this is true, how can it be beneficial? And so I had a really nice time, really amazing time. You know, at the very least, you get to pay attention to the sunrise and the sunset. And not only that, but you get to dedicate different parts of your day to really thinking about, or really orienting your thinking towards one of these chakras, which deal with important issues, whether it's survival, whether it's relationships, whether it's career, whether it's love, whether expressing yourself, whether it's intuition, whether it's inspiration. It is a wonderful system to be able to work with. And Sean Bhatnagar has been doing this probably since the 1980s. So he has had test cases. He has had experience in helping people using this system. And that's what gives it so much value. So, listen, that is it for this session. I know it's a brain twister, but I'm sure if you're interested in human nature, that what I just gave you is very fascinating. If you're interested in the chakra system, what I just gave you is deeply something to deeply reflect on and say, wow, there's a whole different area of understanding the chakra systems beyond what we have been able to understand thus far. So, everyone, thank you for the support. Thank you for listening, and we will catch up soon because we have other issues to tackle in the gene codes. Thank you again for listening.